Hey guys, how are you doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another YouTube video. So today, we're going to just discuss some long-term thoughts to start with, because I feel like my short-term thesis has been like quite bearish leaning when it hasn't meant to be bearish leaning. I'm just showing you what I'm seeing, but I want to show you and just reiterate what the point is of all of this, why we're here. And then we're going to get into the short term after. So we do still have some short term and TA to come, but just to start with, I'm going to talk about this. Incredible tweet here from Raoul Pal, basically saying it's a discussion that he's had for a long time that demographics fall, and the demographics falling is replaced in terms of productivity by Fed net liquidity. And you can see it clear as day on these charts here. It's like as demographics or US labor force participation rate falls, so as people get older and retire or start to die off, as the baby boomers are the largest generation of like workers, as they start to decrease, what you can see is a spike in Fed net liquidity, and that trend obviously is inversely correlated. But then you can see as a percentage of debt to GDP, government debt as a percentage of GDP is the red line that obviously mimics on both ways these charts, these correlations. So what I then said is, how do we invest if we know this is a trend and we can see this trend? So in my opinion, crypto is the short-term answer. And as the demographics decrease, so as people continue to exit the workforce, as the more of the baby boomers get older, as they start to retire or unfortunately pass away, then we'll have to see an increase in Fed net liquidity to counteract this problem for two reasons. One, because otherwise GDP will collapse and the country then goes completely bankrupt. And two is because when you're increasing Fed net liquidity, you're doing that through debt, and debt then also needs to be refinanced. And so that's also an exponential trend to the upside, because debt also needs to be repaid. So you have to then take on more debt to repay the old debt. So it's an increasing cycle. And that's what you're seeing in the last few days with this bill that came out yesterday, that Elon Musk has basically given up on trying to cut deficit spending and going back to Tesla. And that's why I posted this tweet. I'm going to go back to this tweet in a sec. That's why I posted this tweet with Jordi Visser, and because Elon Musk is going back to Tesla basically to try and increase the productivity, because productivity can bring GDP up, which would then slow the debt. And so what Doge we're trying to do is slow debt and decrease spending, which obviously decreases the amount of debt that you will need, because you don't need as much money to spend. But then because of bureaucracy and other things that they discuss in podcasts, and it's all subjective. Well, I mean, it's not really subjective, but like because of the way the world is structured, they just need, this debt has to continue, because the issue is too widely spread that they can't contain the problem. So this is why they say there's nothing stopping it, which then means they have to print more money in the short term, as you can literally see by these charts, which then means we're super, super bullish on crypto, because when M2 increases, and this is just talking about the US, but it's the same issue realistically all around the world, when debt increases, crypto goes up. It's as simple as that. And if it's increasing at an exponential rate, and the debt is getting bigger, and they have to refinance that debt, and then people are leaving the workforce as well, all of these things compound into probably what we're going to see as the biggest bull market in crypto that we've ever seen. Simple as that. All assets will probably do really, really well. But then the issue you have out the back of that is the long-term issue is that there will be a collapse of some sort, however this may look. And now you can read some of Ray Dalio's work called like the Great Deleveraging or National Debt Crisis. I think that's the other title I've read. The debt crisis one, I still can't remember the name of it. But the issue is there is going to be a collapse, or they can kick the can down the road for a productivity miracle, which could be AI, and which Jordi Visser talks about in his clip, basically saying that 300,000 jobs are being lost every year, like as in people are leaving or becoming deceased. But they're not really worried about it because AI is kind of taking 300,000 jobs a year. Or the other option is we have a population boom, But the last time we saw a real population boom was after a world war. But before the world war came a depression. So history is repeating in terms of demographics. Is it going to repeat generally? I don't know. I think, and I've been saying, I think the plan is to kick the can down the road and hope for an AI productivity miracle. We don't know whether that will come or not, but it's the most peaceful next step for human civilization. And I said I'd not make this negative, and I didn't mean to, because it's not meant to be negative. I'm just showing you history. We can discuss this at any time if you want. I love to jump through these thoughts. But short term, as the labour force decreases, liquidity at the Fed will increase to balance that, and government debt will be on a rocket ship to the moon, and crypto will boom. So the other answer is we start to move a lot of the regular financial system or the traditional financial system over into crypto in the medium to long term, and I think that's obviously coming, and that probably slows the problem or at least changes things short term, because you can move money around faster, so the increase of debt spending, the velocity of money will be exponentially increases, which is what you need for functioning society, essentially functioning economic society anyway, the ability for money to move around quickly. Because then $1 can be spent in one place and then very quickly again the next place, and that's how you get financial stability, I guess, and also growth, because that dollar can be passed around hand to hand. So my thoughts are, long term it's not amazing, but anything can change in the long term. If you looked at where we are now compared to where we thought we'd be 20 years ago, things are very different. I think the world's going to be extremely different in the next 10 years, let alone 20. And in that time, if we can kick the can down the road long enough, we've got a chance at changing things. So don't sit here and think that I'm doom and gloom and that I think world wars come in. I think that that's definitely possible, but I'm going to say my base case is AI, because I'm a more of a optimistic outlook on the world. I think AI is going to hopefully come through and help us. We're probably going to see continued arguments throughout the world, and some more deglobalization, which again is probably good for crypto, with a lot of printing of money, which again is probably good for crypto. And then after that, we'll leave that discussion for now, because that's where we get to, and it gets to either AI or it gets to challenging for world powers and potentially a new world order. And that new world order and the collapse of a fiat system, which happens about every 75 to 150 years, and also the change in the way that monetary policy works, or the change in the world order of currency, so like Bretton Woods or petrodollar, these sorts of things, they change about every 25 to 30 years, which again also coincides with demographics, the ages of people, so a generation is what I'm trying to say. These will change, but maybe AI can help us change it into a more effective way, but also less hostile. I mean, I'm hopeful, but humans need to repeat what we've done over time. But the repeat would be an economic boom first, because just as in crypto, when people start to see the point of no return, then they start to pile into assets, and then the debt gets out of hand and the assets continue to rise, and then that's how these parabolic endings come, and then all of a sudden they will hit a top and then it starts to deflate or whatever. But there will always be places of safe harbor, some things that do well, some people that do well, and then a lot of people that do badly. So I'm not saying that's good or bad, I'm just saying that's history. So just keep yourself prepared, and that's why I'm massively invested into crypto. But yeah, now looking at the short term, I feel like that's just a bit of a, not necessarily a history lesson, it's just me just splurting out some thoughts. So I hope it makes sense to you guys. So now looking at the short term, we'll look at liquidity pools to start with. We're already at 9 minutes, I just checked. No, we'll quickly look at Bitcoin in terms of leverage. What we've seen is that, I'll try and zoom through this now because I've spent the whole video talking about the future. What we can see is we've had some negative funding in the last 4 hours for Bitcoin. It's the first time we've seen this since before this last leg up towards 110K. This shows me that people are losing confidence in longing positions. It doesn't mean that we're at a bottom, but what we start to see when we see this negative funding is people aren't sure on which way the market's going to go. And when they're not sure, I think that sets as a base to go higher. Doesn't mean exactly that the bottom's in, as I said. It just means that we're kind of in accumulation phase now. We've bled out some of that liquidity. we've bled out some of the open interest. Now we're starting to see bears take control in some cases, or at least in terms of leverage, and that's when we can see short squeezes back to the upside. Now, do I think that the bottom's in? Again, because of liquidity, I've been saying to you guys, I do think that at some point we're going to hit this liquidity below us. I wonder if my drawings are still in here, but I don't know if they are. Basically made some drawings, didn't I, where I thought we could go up to maybe 110k, come down and squeeze at 100k, go up to 113k, and then continue from there. I do think this liquidity below us gets touched. We are starting to add a little bit more at around the 102k mark now as well. But again, we are adding more above us as well. So liquidity can be left behind. I'm not saying that it has to be taken, but I would expect that this liquidity is taken below us, just because of how close we got to it. But I could be wrong. Let's then look at XRP, and then we're going to look at ETH, because they're interesting to me right now as well. Looking at XRP, what we can see is there is liquidity starting to build above us, but again, below us there is so much liquidity, and continuing to build on this last move up. We haven't broken any swing highs yet, although this push up has been nice. I still can't really imagine moving up without taking this, as it's the densest area of liquidity we have by far on XRP. On the hourly time frame, it's different on the 4 hour and the daily, but it's the densest area that we've got. So definitely don't be shocked to see us come back down to $2. With that being said, I'm 100% cheering for us to go up. I don't give a shit whether it comes down and fills my orders or not. As you guys know, I'm like 95% XRP spot. So sound, if it goes up, brilliant, we will win. I'm just showing you what I see. ETH, we're going to look at quickly on Velo, because what's a bit different about ETH is the open interest is at like pretty much all-time highs. I would expect a lot of this is shorts, even though we have funding in the green. We have premium still in the red, so that's good. But I would expect a lot of this is shorts, as much as there are going to be long positions here too. Although price is increasing with open interest, I think if we start to get some closes above like 2.8, we'll see some short squeezes for ETH. Whether we get there or not is another story, because if we look at the ETH chart, it's this little pattern I've been showing you guys. We had this bull flag, we broke down out of it, and we still keep struggling to back test it, potentially getting a bullish cross on the daily, but we could also quite easily reverse from here and take the liquidity below us. So I'm definitely not making any specific calls for ETH. I don't know which way ETH's going to go at this point. We have some ETH beta plays like ENA and CRV. We don't need to go over that anymore. XRP, again, also potentially bullish crossed yesterday. I'm going to just take some of these drawings off. We talked about this potential inverse head and shoulders. Now, if the right shoulder comes in here, it's actually more bullish, because it shows that there's less momentum to form that pattern. But I'm not saying it will or it won't. I'm just saying to watch that. If we do reverse from here, it's probably pretty bullish. There are some more bullish indicators here for XRP that I'm just going to quickly get into in 1 second. But just looking at the daily time frame, we do have the bullish cross there for XRP, but not really supported by a lot of volume yet. But last time we had the bullish cross, we did have a decent push to the upside. And again, the last time we had the bullish cross was here before that, which was when we were pretty much at our recent lows at 160, and then that was obviously the bottom. So conflicting information right now. I understand I'm in the same position. That's why I'm not making any specific plays. If we look at XRP dominance and XRP Bitcoin, XRP ETH, which is what we're going to just quickly touch on now, XRP dominance had the touch into this key area of support, which was previous resistance for the whole range low that we've been stuck in since 2021. We wicked into that area and have found a support or a bounce on that area, which is nice. What you can see below when I'm looking at the RSI is that we are still downtrending on the RSI, although we have had that bullish cross. We're still downtrending here in terms of price action, so nothing's really too significant until we start to break that range. Other than that, that's all we can really see. It's on a 3-day here. That's all we can really see here for XRP dominance, and I do think that at some point this could be the bottom if we see continued push here for XRP dominance. It doesn't mean that XRP price can't come down, but it could mean that XRP starts to outperform the market here. Looking at XRP Bitcoin, this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting. We're nearly putting in the daily cross on the 3-day, and the stochastic RSI has the bullish daily cross on the 3-day, and the stochastic RSI has crossed bullish and potentially looking to come up out of that oversold area. If we take us down to the daily time frame, I was looking for a daily close above this green dotted line, which we got. It's like previous order block here. For multiple days of closes, we've actually closed above that area now, so that is indicating some strength here with the daily bullish cross there on the RSI and the bullish divergence from the lower low in price action and higher low on the indicator. For me, Bitcoin, XRP Bitcoin starting to look a little bit interesting. Definitely monitoring this chart. So definitely keep my eye on XRP Bitcoin. XRP ETH is a bit of a annoying, dodgy one. Again, we've still got the bullish divergence here as we've formed a lower low in price action and a higher low on the oscillator. But if we zoom into the 4 hour, what we can see is we have again formed, well, we actually closed higher than we have been, so you could assume this is a higher high. But we then did take a higher low yesterday before this higher high. So again, we're just ranging in this area, and I'd like to see a close above this grey box before we can start to confirm anything. But eyes on, guys. We're in this eyes on phase. If we get the pullback, we enter, and if we don't, we could start to really blow to the upside. I am still in the base case that we do get that pullback just because of the liquidity that there is below us, and that's how I'm operating. I'm not taking any positions extra as to what we've already discussed, because there is that risk that we come down first. And if we don't, then fantastic. We'll all sing, clap, and jump around. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to start posting anime if we do get a breakout. But realistically, I've not seen anything yet that tells me that things are exciting. I know you don't. I know you want to come on here and for me to say, yeah, it's going to look great. But right now, I don't really know where we're going to go in the short term. I think there's conflicting opinions, and I see conflicting things out there on the charts. So I hope that all makes sense to you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, or you got any questions, please do leave them in the comment section. Please do share it with a friend if you enjoyed. If you want to take any leverage trades, put any bids on, please try my WeX link below. It really helps me out. Or you can use MEXC. I also have a link for them below as well. Like, share it with a friend, and yeah, peace up. A-Town down, as Crypto Insight UK would say.